This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Yeah! Dude!
He thinks he looks good in a bathing suit. He doesn't.
Okay, weather update. Friday was the coldest January night in the UK in 15 years after temperatures plunged to minus 18.9 degrees centigrade.
What?
Minus 18.9 degrees centigrade. And to translate that into His Majesty's Fahrenheit, you'd have to double it and add 32. But you can't double a minus number, as any fool know. So it is literally impossible to figure out what that is. But in Fahrenheit, it is, in fact, very, very cold. I think you'll find that that is right. Altnahara, in the Highlands, recorded the temperature of minus 18.9 degrees centigrade on Saturday morning, as in just last night, causing the usual numpties to say, there you are, there's no such thing as global warming because it's cold out.
Oh, fabulous.
You could set your watch by them. It is the coldest January overnight temperature since 2010, whenever that was. The average low in northern Scotland land for this time of the year is 0.3, so minus 18.9 is colder than that. That is, in fact, correct. The UK Health Security Agency said they extended their cold weather alert for all of England until Tuesday.
Warning, warning.
The Met Office meteorologist Zoe said temperatures are expected to drop widely to below freezing in eastern areas tonight. Looking ahead to next week, she said, we're saying it's getting milder, but by no stretch does that mean temperatures are going to be above average. It will just feel comparatively much more pleasant than it is at the moment. Comparatively much more pleasant than it is at the moment? We'll take it. Messages from last night. This says, Nick, I have a sticker on the back of my Tesla that says, I bought this before Musk lost his mind. They'll be selling out quick. Get yours while they're still available. Paul says, hi, Nick, a white South African billionaire with the emotional intelligence of a 12-year-old whose best buddy is a narcissistic man-baby. What could possibly go wrong? This says, Amazon are going to... I was talking to somebody who was out in the middle of nowhere, in the sticks, near Norwich, I think, which doesn't sound that remote, but even so, he says he couldn't get internet unless it was beamed from space, and he was bemoaning how much Elon's space internet costs. And it says, Amazon are going to launch a satellite internet across the UK. Not sure it helps our rural friend's dilemma, as his money will be going to Jeff Bezos. It's a 50-50 toss-up between space billionaires. Yeah, I think the way that we're going, almost everything is going to be sold by about 6 people. 6 unbelievably rich families will control the supply of everything pretty soon. I mean, if you squint, you'd almost say that that's happened already. But pretty soon, they're just going to subsume other companies into their conglomerates, and they're going to be running everything. If you go to your kitchen cupboard now, I betcha that if, assuming that you have ordinary brands in there and not eco-woke hippie food, I bet that almost all of it is made by, let's say, 3 companies. I'm not betting money, but I just bet that that is the case. This says, Nick, could you get one of your glamorous assistants to show you a picture of a Cybertruck? I would have my life immensely improved if I could hear your reaction. Yeah, I've seen these things. It looks like a car drawn by a 5-year-old with a ruler. It's just the silliest thing. I mean, for what exactly would you be compensating for if you park one of those on your driveway? It's just ridiculous. This says, Liz Truss is still talking. Why? She had one job, and it wasn't to keep saying that it wasn't her fault.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Liz. That is my instinctual reaction every time I hear a Tory, braying on about, oh, well, it's all much worse now, we're not in charge. I just think, are you still speaking? How is that possible? Do you have no shame?
No.
No. Do you have no shame, Boris?
I can't.
You can't comment on that.
Blah,
blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. but from those little video vignettes that he keeps insisting on producing, then I think that the answer is no. And furthermore...
No.
Not an ounce of it. Alexander from Crystal Palace says, "Hi, Nick. I think the tech bros' rapacious pursuit of ever more obscene riches is down to a combination of addiction to the buzz of making yet another killing, while not being able to stomach not being worth as much as a rival tech bro. Keeping up with the Musks, I guess. So sad." Yeah, I think that's it in a nutshell. Yeah. I mean, once you get up to, let's say, more than £100 million worth, then any amount over that isn't going to make a slightest difference to your life. I mean, it just isn't. In fact, probably above 10 million. If you've got 10 and you get 20, are you going to be double the happiness? Or are you going to double your happiness? No. So what else is it? It is, I've slipped down the rich rankings. I bet when the Sunday Times produces that silly supplement once a year, I bet the rich people in that are poring over it to make sure that they didn't slide down. Donald Trump used to call them up, didn't he? Not the Times, but the whatever organisation used to publish that in America. He used to call them up and pretend to be somebody else and tell them that, oh, no, I've gone over his books and he's worth way more than that. Yeah. Which is just as believable as anything else he's ever said. Donald Trump is worth a lot of money. Oh, come on.
I make $400 million a year, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, what difference does it make? Anybody that's worth $400 million a year is desperately hawking non-fungible tokens of themselves that are pictures of them as superheroes. Anybody that makes $400 million a year would be doing that. Selling hats made in China, saying, "Make America Great Again." What's happened to this planet? It's not my fault. Bob says deboarding is one thing. Oh, we were talking about planes. It was probably somebody on a Boeing plane who had to deboard in an emergency, as you would expect. They had to throw themselves out of the door, which I think was still attached to the plane in this particular instance, and hope that the inflatable ramp caught them before they smashed into the tarmac. And they called it deboarding, which seems like a pretty benign phrase for such an enormous freak out. But Bob says deboarding is one thing, but I heard recently that a plane carrying 150 dogs had to debark due to the weather conditions. Oh. A listener with the material.
Oh,
no. I'm blasting through these because I'm determined to get through all of them before carrying on with today's business. Not many to go. These are last night's messages. This text says, "Nick, can I just say, usually I've had a couple of glasses of wine before I listen to you, but now I'm doing dry January. It's a very different experience."
Booze.
As will be the next morning, I bet. Clarity will hit you in the face. Jack says, "Menopause Musk is like when your friend group is nice to the weird kid and they go way over the top in their excitement at finally having friends." Yeah, I think that nutshells it. He does seem to be like weirdly ecstatic at being on stage with the likes of Donald Trump, doesn't he? I've got a friend. On the subject of golf, this one says, "Golf is not only a sport, Nick, it's an Olympic sport." No, it's not. It's an Olympic pastime. Nadia in Hastings says, "Nick, did you see the interview that Trump did after the court decision? It's very odd. At the beginning, a guy poured him a whole big glass of Coke. He made sure that we could see the bottle. It had the look of a pre-boxing match, sponsored by Coca-Cola, maybe. Well, he's sponsored by everywhere else, isn't he? Sponsored by Meta, you know, that moon-faced creeper runs Facebook. I think the Disney Corporation gave him $1 million. Meta gave him $1 million. Jeff Bezos, I think, gave him $1 million. Who else? Well, practically everybody that you've ever heard of that has a tech company or a media company crawled across the carpet at Mar-a-Lago and gave him $1 million. with which I'm sure he will spend on portraits of himself so he can hang in his golf clubs. What a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
Just a couple ago. This says, the next year will be so interesting. What if the USA economy booms while the EU, Canada continue to disintegrate politically and economically, and the UK economy heads even faster into its impending recession? What if the war in Ukraine and Gaza gets resolved? Who knows? But if that comes to pass, I wonder how the left will explain it, says this texter. Well, the left could explain at least part of what you just said by pointing to the American economy that Trump will be taking over. Because it's going great guns. But, of course, he will take credit for it the moment his giant bottom sits on the seat behind the resolution desk. A text from Jerry in Croydon says, if the orange guy needs hair advice, he could do worse than employ Michael Fabricant as a syrup consultant.
I don't wear a toupee.
And finally, Nick in Doncaster texts, I remember watching Deputy Dog and his sidekick Muskie. Spooky, but it's actually turned into reality with Donald and Elon. No, it's not Deputy Dog and Muskie. It's Dick Dastardly and Muttley. It's just which one's Dick and which one's Muttley.
LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
And I did 3 of them today. I did a little one, a little tiny one, and then I did a really big one. I did a big one.
That's nice,
and I'm
Donny.
still raring to go.
Yeah, very, very good. Well done. Good boy. Good boy. Dan says, did you see Hazza and Sparkles went to see one of the fires? She's only going to see what the damage is that she's done. Is there nothing that woman won't do? Says Dan. Well, the press has been covering Prince Hazza and Meghan Sparkles, and this was the Mail's take. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have opened the doors to their $29 million Montecito mansion to their friends and loved ones who were forced to evacuate the ongoing wildfires in Southern California. And at this point, the writers for the Mail must have been chewing their faces off trying to figure out how to make that a bad thing. It said, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex also urged other Los Angeles residents to do the same in a statement on their website. Look, they're being kind. They said, if a friend, loved one or pet has to evacuate and you are able to offer them a safe haven in your home, please do so, said Hazza and Sparkles. And please be sure to check in with any disabled or elderly neighbours. I don't know why I stumbled over elderly. Disabled or elderly neighbours to see if they need help evacuating, the couple said. Those evil pair. They said, please consider donating clothing, children's toys and clothing and other essentials. Clothing, children's toys and clothing. Oh, children's toys and clothing and other essentials, they said. And they were probably smiling while they said it. Smiling while people were suffering in the world. Harry and Meghan have already been donating clothing, children's toys and clothing and other essentials, according to the Telegraph, which also seems to have given up on making this an attack story on Meghan. They just don't have it in them anymore. The couple are also said to be working alongside World Central Kitchen, which supplies meals in the wake of natural disasters. It's probably woke meals, isn't it? With green eco-vegetables. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have lived in a high fire risk property for 5 years in Montecito, about 90 miles from the centre of the blaze, where reporters from the British press were said to be trying to move the flames towards them by using the force of their minds. They got their cameras ready, just desperate for Hazza and Sparkle's homes to, burst into flames. Hasn't happened just yet, but they're using their mind meld. I know that's Star Trek, not Star Wars, but never mind. Close enough for jazz. 0345 6060 973. Plymouth. Mark.
Hiya.
Mark.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I think I've mentioned this before, but I wanted to mention how much interest America's debt is going up by every hour.
Oh, yes.
Did you know It's 125 million an hour.
Oh.
And there was some economist saying that it's going to completely collapse. And I've mentioned to you before about we should get an island, buy an island, and
Yes.
you'd be in charge. We call it Abbott Island.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found one for $475,000 in the Caribbean.
Oh, that sounds nice. What's there?
Well, there is a house there and some outbuildings as well, and it's 5 acres.
Yes.
And if we get enough listeners to chip in, you could be in charge, and we could all live on the island. And you could still do your radio stuff. We'll just get a mast.
Yeah, I like the I can be in charge part, not the we could all live on the island bit.
Well, we could just have 10 of us, and you could select.
I don't know.
We get away from Trump and Musk there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not a very big island. 10 of us. I'm not sure about that.
I'm worried about Musk and Trump. You see, I think it's all going to get a lot worse. Jonathan Pye said that Elon Musk looks like Elon Musk wearing a mask of Elon Musk.
That's not bad. Yeah. He should go into comedy. All right, Thanks a lot, Mark. Leave that with me. I'll think about it very, very strongly. Text from Johnny in the Algarve says, now Donny wants Greenland and Canada. Where will this end? Will we all be oranges? What does that mean? P.S. I walked 10 miles today on sunny beaches with breeze in my locks and the sun on my face. Hope all's good in London town, says Johnny in the Algarve. Yeah, thanks a lot, Johnny, but we don't wish to know that. Alan says, Nick, I have a Tesla, but my other car is a 1938 Beetle. Yeah, drive that one. It has less baggage. It might not be able to carry as much baggage, but it has less baggage. Sam Batch. Hello, John.
Trump is a war coward.
Trump is a war coward. Oh, the bone spur thing. Yeah, very, very hurty feet. Mm.
Yeah, he was a Vietnam draft dodger.
Yeah, but you know what? If Vietnam was now and I was a 20-year-old, I would want to dodge it too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yes. But somebody like me couldn't afford it. Like the Americans then couldn't afford it. The blacks and whites, they couldn't afford it. It was only the rich. And you know where they ran away to? Canada.
Canada.
And, yeah. You know, the place he doesn't like.
Oh, well, he likes so much he wants to buy.
Yeah, he wants to buy, yeah. And I don't think they'll have it. But while all the poor blacks and whites were dying in Vietnam in the thousands, 54,000.
Well, that's war for you. It's the kids that fight it. The rich ones are at the back saying forward and the front rank dies, which I think is a Pink Floyd lyric.
Rock and roll!
Forward, they said, from the back, and the front rank died.
And the MAGA generation all think he's great.
Well, just hold that thought, and we'll revisit it in 6 months and see how great they think he is then.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, John. 0345 6060 973. So there were some predictions made about the year ahead. You want to know? Well, whatever your answer just was, the real answer is probably no. Because even though 2025 does look like a nice number, just as 2020 did, and spoiler alert, if you were asleep then and you haven't read about it, 2020 was very, very bad indeed. Awful. Despite the fact that it looked like a really nice number. So does 2025. A global risk consultant has warned that humanity should tighten its seatbelts for a very bumpy ride in 2025. And I do believe that he is talking about a certain tangerine tornado.
Don't be rude.
Ian Bremmer, on Monday, predicted a uniquely dangerous time for the planet, akin to the tense 1930s and the start of the Cold War, in his closely watched annual forecast. And I know what you're thinking. Who's Ian Bremmer? And who cares about his annual forecast? The uniquely dangerous time he attributes to Russia's imperial ambitions, the unchecked rise of artificial intelligence.
Affirmative.
And the Donald Trump's return to the White House and his revived trade war with China. China. See, I told you this was about the least presidential president.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
People everywhere are facing heightened geopolitical instability driven by a lack of global leadership, says Ian Bremmer, the founder and president of the Eurasia Group. Oh. Who? The Eurasia Group, a management consultancy group. I always thought that management consultants were people that managers hired so that they could blame them if what those managers do doesn't work. You know, they're like corporate shields for incompetent and clueless managers to hide behind. But that's probably not what these people are like at all. You know, like political consultants hired by incompetent governments for politicians to hide behind and blame them when their bat poop crazy ideas blow up in our faces. I've got that right, haven't I, Liz?
Absolutely.
Anyway, back to our imminent demise. Ian Bremmer, the founder and president of Eurasia Group, said, "We're heading back to the law of the jungle, where the strongest do what they can, while the weakest are condemned to suffer what they must." In other words, his annual list came out as Russia touted military gains in eastern Ukraine, and as the US Congress met to certify Trump's 2024 election win, which is pretty suspicious to me. I mean, somebody should look into that very strongly, but they won't, because that's not what Democrats are like. If Trump had lost by the razor-thin margin that he won by, then he would have been screaming about it from now until the end of time. But he didn't, so he won't. Bremmer released his list of top 10 threats to global peace and security. He does so each January. And I feel like we need that tune that Alan Freeman used to use when he did the chart rundown. It's the pick of the pops, all right? Got off. The sound of the swinging cymbal, I bet.
Rock and roll!
Still missing you, Alan Freeman, by the way. You total radio legend, you. Anyway, back to our imminent demise. Top 10 reasons to be miserable. You ready? At the start of 2024, he ranked the US election as the biggest danger, and it certainly proved to be because felonious skunk won.
Oh, shut up!
So he got that right. This year, he said the absence of world leadership has become a chronic problem that leaves humanity more likely to stumble into a devastating conflict. He said expect new and expanding power vacuums, emboldened rogue actors, and a heightened risk of dangerous accidents, miscalculations, and conflict. Or in other words,
I'll bring us into war.
Bremmer warns that Trump's second term poses new challenges and threats. Yeah, you bet it does. Backed by majorities in Congress and the Supreme Court, Trump could achieve his plans of purging Washington, including the Justice Department, the FBI, and others of that ilk, purging them of perceived enemies, and in doing so permanently hurt those institutions, says Bremmer. Those institutions have been very unfair to me. Very mean. Important people, they come to me, they say, "Sir, those institutions have been very mean to me." And I say thank you. Meanwhile, Trump's stated economics roadmap and trade tariffs could roil the US and global economies. And that's probably not a good thing. I mean, I don't know. Get me a dictionary. I need to look up the word royal. Not that royal. The other royal. R-O-I-L. Oh. Once it's started, you can't stop it. He also warns that AI is experiencing relentless and fast-paced growth without any effective checks on whether the emerging technology is safe.
Correct.
Pretty soon it's going to become self-aware. But the starkest danger is Russia, which is making gains in Ukraine and carrying out stealth attacks on European infrastructure. He said Moscow will do more than any country to subvert the global order in 2025. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I could have told you that. I'm not even a consultant. And the report was released as Russia's defense ministry said its forces had captured the town of Kurakov, 20 miles south of Pokrovsk, a Ukrainian logistics hub towards which Russian forces have been advancing for months. And Moscow is continuing to fend off a new Ukrainian offensive. And other experts have raised similar concerns to this Bremmer chap. The annual forecast from RAIN, Risk Intelligence Solutions, warned of Washington's coming trade war, difficulties in cutting any peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, and spiralling conflict from the Middle East. Unfortunately, or fortunately rather, we have a very, very smart person who is just entering the White House.
I'm president. Can you believe it?
No. No. Couldn't believe it the first time. Still stunned. Last year, the Daily Mail spoke with a prominent security analyst with a gloomy prognosis for world peace. He said World War III is no longer a distant possibility. It's already begun. He said it's just happening in ways more subtle than Western societies experienced at the start of the 20th century's global conflicts. He said they're hybrid threats, covert battles, ideological jockeying in the digital arena, which sounds like a horse racing game you play on Xbox. Ideological jockeying in the digital arena. He says this third global conflagration doesn't look or feel like what Hollywood envisaged. No mushroom clouds or apocalyptic wastelands. Rather, it's a war by 1,000 cuts, conducted across multi-regional and multi-domain battlefields. But apart from that, how's everything going?
Oh, fabulous.
What a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
You're joking.
Andrew texts, Liz Truss heard that there was somebody who doesn't hate her, so she has set out on a mission to fix that. Is that true, Liz?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I do believe that is a disgrace. I mean, I would play that clip, but it just takes too long. You feel like she's never going to get to the end of that sentence. It's like...
I'm genuinely unclear.
Yeah, no, I played the wrong one. It's this one.
That is a...
I mean, at that point, you just sort of give up, don't you? I mean, get on with it, Liz. Not every word's got a full stop after it. Paddy in Cheltenham says, Elon Musk, don't you mean phony Stark? Stark. Yeah, I like Space Karen as well. And Di says, hi, Nick, sadly, Bojo's book's bombed. Your book's bombed, Bodge? So he might get his old job back. Oh, come off it. I bet that will work too, says Di. Yeah, I don't think so. I can't imagine that this country could stand...
the great big greedy nincompoop.
...coming back. I mean, he might want it. He might think that we want it, but we don't. Not now. Not ever. Never. And Michael says, hi, Nick, did you see that Rory Stewart's book has outsold Boris Johnson's book? When two old Etonians clash. When two tribes go to war. A point is all that you can score. I never really understood that lyric. What does that mean? When two tribes go to war, a point is all that you can score. What does that mean? Get Frankie on the phone. He'll explain it to us. East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. How's things?
Pretty good, thanks.
Yeah, I'm not happy, Nick. Really not happy.
No. Not happy? Happy-ness. Can I give you some?
Try and make me laugh. Every story that gets asked to comment on anything starts off with, well, it's the Labour Party's policy.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter whether they've been asked about the shortage of bamboo shoots in Turkey or restaurants. They start off with, it's the Labour Party policy.
Yeah.
Because of, and I can't believe that, I can't understand the reasoning behind it. Surely the dinglings aren't that daft that they actually believe it.
Yes, we are that daft, and they have learnt that all they have to do is keep saying the same few words over and over again. If I haven't actually heard them do it, because I normally, when one appears on my TV or radio, that's the point at which I find something else to listen to. But if they're doing it, then it's not by accident, it's by design. They've been told to go out and say exactly that, and if you keep saying it over and over again, then the public will think, oh, well, that's a Labour policy then, that is.
Yeah, I mean, 14 years and everything gets blamed on the current Labour Party. Oh. I mean, they haven't had, no matter if they were geniuses, this present Labour Party have not had time to make that difference.
Yeah, I mean, we elected a man, not a wizard. He doesn't have a magic wand. He can't just magic everything better. It takes time. It's very easy to smash something up. It's very hard to build it back up again. It's going to take a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rachel Reeves has gone to China. Yeah. If she hadn't gone to China, she would have got absolutely caned for not going and trying to get
it's one of our most important export partners. Why isn't she going to China? Yeah.
Yeah, and so she's gone. So she's getting absolutely caned for going. But perhaps you can answer me this, Nick. Everyone's saying she should be here sorting out the crisis. Well, just can anyone who says that, please come on and explain exactly what you want us to do.
Exactly right, yeah. I mean, what can she actually do? It's just silly. I mean, the people who are spouting this nonsense know that it is nonsense, but they're playing a game. They're not remotely interested in this country or what will benefit this country. They're just having fun playing games, which is inexcusable in my mind.
It's bad behaviour. I mean, once Kellyanne Conway come out and said, you may have facts, but we've got alternative facts. My heart sank because I thought democracy's over. Yeah. If we can't all agree on the truth, we can disagree about what we should do about it. But if you can't agree on the truth, it's hopeless.
Yes.
It's absolutely hopeless. And it is... Anyway,
and that was quite a moment when I remember her saying that, and it's probably still available on the World Wide Web. I bet it's on YouTube. The moment she said that, she started with "well, we have," and then she gulped, and it was almost as though she came up to a line and decided, "Hell with it, I'm just going to leap over it," and it was like we went from one world to another world at that moment.
Yeah, from reality into complete illusion.
Yeah.
I mean,
feelings. Yeah. Reality to feelings.
Not watching them when they come on, that's a plan.
Yeah. Just tune out. I mean, I just can't stand listening to them because I know that they know that what they're saying is rubbish. That's the annoying thing. So I just can't bear it. And some of them are much worse than others. I mean, Chris Philp. Oh, I will. If I wasn't able to change the channel and he came on, I would pick up my television and throw it out the window. It's just insufferable.
Absolutely, he's definitely the worst. I don't know. He just lies, but blatantly about anything.
Well, there's a clip of him and Mick Lynch on the same programme, and I would urge you to go and watch it over and over again because it's quite satisfying. In fact, I'm going to miss Mick Lynch. Hey, Mick, can you not retire for a while? I think we're going to need you for the immediate future.
Yeah, Bob Crow was a bit annoying, but Mick Lynch was great for me.
Yeah, he was.
Really good value for money.
Yeah, he could unpick his opponents into their constituent molecules and leave them a pulsing mush on the floor without really breaking a sweat. He was great.
And using simple words.
Yes.
Not going into Latin or Greek or anything else. He just spoke plain English.
Yeah, I know. It was like a revelation. Oh my God, he's like a real human being. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Mike. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Like this one. How about this? You know, during the Tories' maladministration, there were 1,000 civil servants working on the Rwanda scheme. You remember how many people the Rwanda scheme sent to Rwanda? 3. And they were volunteers. They asked to go. And the cost to us, the taxpayer, £300 million. That's £100 million each. That's the Tories' record. Labour, on the other hand, have, since they came into power about 7 months ago, sent 16,400 illegal migrants abroad, back to where they came from. 16,400 illegal migrants. Since Labour came to office, enforced returns are up 24% compared to the same 12 months prior. Britain's streets have been made safer with the removal of 2,580 foreign criminals, a 23% increase on the last year. And you're probably only hearing about this now. That's because Labour don't crow about this sort of thing. It's almost as though they're embarrassed about it. Flights have removed immigration offenders to countries around the world, including 4 of the biggest return flights in the history of this country, carrying more than 800 people. Individuals removed since the election include, but are not limited to, criminals convicted of drug offences, theft, rape and murder. And by restarting asylum processing to help clear the backlog and redeploying 1,000 staff who were wasting their time on that Rwanda gimmick to work on immigration enforcement, the government has been able to achieve this level of removals within 6 months of coming to office. But you don't hear about that. If the Tories had done this, they would have been having a parade. But Labour seem to be embarrassed about their success. Perhaps they're embarrassed about this particular success. And, you know, where's the note of congratulation from Farage or Badenoch? Constantly going on about immigration when they were in power, like Badenoch, you know, like the Tories, and making immigration their signature policy with Farage and Reform. And not a peep from either of them about this, which shows you all you need to know about them. They're just playing games. So I have to think that they're not interested in immigration at all, other than as a weapon to beat up the opposition with, you know, to advance their cause. It implies to me that all that stop the boats thing was just the spouting of phonies. I mean, they don't want to stop the boats at all. They want to point at those coming over here on boats to make out like they're tough and the problem could only be solved if we follow their party. Even the party that's been in power for the past 14 years, under which there was more immigration than at any time in this country's history. And Labour need to make a big deal about this. But they won't, because they're too polite to play that game. So Farage and Badenoch are going to pretend that those deportations didn't happen and criticise Labour for not doing the thing that they appear to be doing pretty well. But that's the game we're in. Lots of fun for them, just endless misery for us. Tom in Sevenoaks says, I really wish Musk would hurry up and go to Mars. I'm worried he's going to get up in a bad mood one day and try to blow up the planet or something. Yeah, if he has designs on taking over a weapons manufacturers, let's just say no. Archie in Inverness says, Rachel Reeves has secured a trade deal with China that's worth at least 60p. Yet more proof, were any required, that Starmer's Labour truly is the party of entrepreneurs and international concord. Yeah, it does seem like small beer. £600 million over 5 years. I mean, that's akin to nothing at all. But that's not the it of why she went. She didn't go there to sign deals at that moment. It's all about relationship building. So it's a bit silly, really, of Labour to even say how much the deals were she's just inked, because what difference does it make? 600 million over 5 years. I mean, it would change your or my life, but it's not going to change the country any. But that's not the reason why you go to another country to, you know, do the glad handing and the chit-chat. Not for 600 million over 5 years. It's all of the rest of it that comes with it. They probably had a little conversation about the screaming Mimi and his demented tariffs.
Oh, shut up!
See if we can swerve around that tornado. So, yeah, it's 600. They shouldn't have said anything about that. But, you know, it's again, they're not very good at the game. I just thought we didn't want to play games anymore. I thought we wanted serious people, you know, after... Yeah. Wait a minute. And after...
I'm genuinely unclear.
The genuinely unclear one. And this bloke...
The country's priorities.
Priorities. I thought that we wanted serious people, not just a cavalcade of clowns which have been suffering over the last 14 years. But apparently not. We had a serious government for about a day, and then we were sick of it. And somebody started a petition to get him out. I mean, really. This text says, lol, Nick. I sent that message about dry January that you just read out yesterday. Anyway, I'm on mocktails tonight, so I'll see how that goes. Mocktails. See, to me, that would make me want the alcohol more. For a start, you're going through the motions of drinking alcohol, but without giving your body the thing that it is expecting. So it's going to go, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Where's the buzz, man? Anyway, thanks for that. And I hope that whole mocktail thing goes well. But I do think it's missing a key ingredient. Booze.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Aye,
honey. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. Text from Judy B., a Brit in Connecticut in the US, says, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a lot of talk over here about what people are planning for Trump's inauguration day. People have scheduled colonoscopies, dental procedures, and my favourite is the person planning to watch reruns of President Obama's inauguration. Colonoscopies and dental procedures. I've got advice about that.
Warning.
Don't have both in the same room. Never have a dental procedure in the same room as somebody having a colonoscopy. That's my best advice to you. Even if they do offer you a twofer at a discounted rate, just say no. Just say no, thank you. I mean, good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite.
Let's have Chelsea. Hello, Mark.
Hello, good evening to you. Hello.
Good.
Now, if 1% of the forensic analysis of the balance sheet, 1% of the microscopic scrutiny that goes into the expenditure and exposes any over-expenditure or any genuinely good expenditure that can be objected to on the grounds that the people who were housed weren't blonde and blue-eyed, tracing their family lineage back to 1066, if all of the expenditure that's scrutinised on health, housing and, dare I say it, education, if 1% of that went on the arms expenditure, it would be very interesting. The first and last time ever mentioned by James O'Brien, never again anywhere in the media. Last year, an aircraft carrier built for £1 billion and it wouldn't work on a sunny day to be transported for display for the sickos that like looking at killing machines. Now,
yes.
That must be the tip of the iceberg. However...
Oh, it is. I think half of our non-nuclear submarines, I think all, in fact, of our non-nuclear submarines are in dock, don't work. I think half of our warships are in dock, don't work. I think the aircraft carriers don't have aircrafts on them because we could afford the ship, but we couldn't afford the aircraft. And it just goes on and on and on.
You had a professor from Imperial College whose expertise is this and advises not only the arms industry but the MOD.
Yeah.
And he was saying the result of this is we need to spend more.
Yes.
And you said, your words were 8,000 miles of coastline. Could we really have an Iron Dome? And he said, oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, of course, it's just an analogy. Your analogy, our expenditure,
correct,
and absolutely useless.
I started that conversation with him by saying this just... because they were calling for more money to be spent on defence. And I just said, This just sounds like a grab for the taxpayers' money to be delivered to the weapons manufacturers.
Well, here. But one very quick last thing. If we are at risk of being attacked by anybody, the madman Putin, who can't take 20% of Ukraine and hold it, but he's mad. He's totally rational when it comes to thermonuclear war with his button on the trigger, but he's mad in all the other ways when it comes to conventional warfare. Okay, if we're under such threat and it's about your security, my security, and his professorship's security, well, why can't the arms industry just halve its profit for the next couple of years?
Impossible. In fact, they're reaching for their guns just at the very idea. You're in great danger, Mark.
Well, half of a lot is still a lot,
it's
and they're
lot,
patriotic. Yeah. Surely they can...
It just seems insane to me. We spend, £57 billion a year on defence, and everything that we've got to defend ourselves doesn't work.
The sickening thing is the only people using the C word, ceasefire, and the P word, peace, are Farage and Trumpy.
Well, I'm not entirely sure about that because...
and the CND or whatever they're called now.
No, Donald Trump wants to take the Panama Canal by force, he wants to take Greenland by force, and he wants to take Canada by force, and Mexico by force. But,
I was talking about Ukraine.
Right. Yeah. Well, Donald Trump said that he was going to solve that war on day one, and now it's apparently within the first 100 days.
Do you know what?
After 100 days, it will be, what war in Ukraine? I have other things that are more important.
When I save up enough to go and have the occasional pint in a pub, every second person drinking on their own who I have a chat with is ex-services who's come back with their minds damaged.
Yeah. But we don't care about them because they're poor.
Anyway, what can you do, mate?
All right, okay, cheer up, mate. It might never... Oh, no, that's right, it already has. Thanks a lot, Mark. He's very upset. I don't really get it. I mean, they're talking about a missile defence shield. How can you defend a country with 8,000 odd miles of coastline from missiles coming in? I mean, where might they come in from? Everywhere. Or nowhere. It seems unlikely to me that Vlad the Insane is going to launch a missile at us, because isn't that what we've got our nuclear defence for? Isn't that what that's for? To prevent that exact scenario from happening? So, if he's not going to do that, then what would be the point of ever more bristling old-style weaponry? Now, wars are going to be fought asymmetrically by drones. I mean, you can't have a missile defence force against drones, particularly, I mean, they'll just get smaller and smaller and smaller until they're the size of a fly, and this fly-sized robot will have a tiny detonator on it and facial recognition technology. Then it can just set it off somewhere in the world, and it will fly by solar power to wherever the person that they're after is and blow up next to their ear. That's the future of war, surely. But we're going to fight it with a battleship. That's just silly, isn't it? It just seems completely insane to me. And the rapaciousness of the defence industry knows no bounds. I mean, they love a bit of money. They do. And an enormous amount isn't enough. And nobody talks about how much money they're making at their massive profits. People talk about supermarkets' profits and energy companies' profits, but what about the manufacturers of the weapons of mass destruction? How about them? I bet they're so happy they can hardly count. But, you know, the next war is, well, we may actually be in that war. As I said at the beginning of the show, that futurologist predicting, what might be happening. But what's happening right now is that Vlad is probably behind the severing of the undersea cables. I mean, that's what war's going to look like now. Some boat out in the middle of nowhere is going to drag its anchor across the cables that give us internet, and we won't be able to dial up YouTube anymore. And there'll be riots in the streets in about 10 seconds. I mean, can you imagine what it's like, what it would be like without the internet? We've become so dependent on something that really, if you think about it, is so fragile and so susceptible to being switched off by people of bad intent. And if we didn't have the internet now, if everybody's internet worldwide stopped, then civilization would also stop with it, because we're utterly dependent on it now. I mean, you wouldn't be able to buy anything for a start. Do you have enough cash to last you for the end of the year? But it wouldn't really matter, because the shop that you want to buy your food at probably won't take cash. And the hole in the wall won't be able to give you cash because, internet connected. So your credit card won't work. You won't be able to get cash out of the wall. What are you going to buy stuff with? So there's going to be people who won't be able to come up with any money. And so what they're going to do almost immediately will be to take what they want. And then you've got total anarchy in about half an hour, there or thereabouts, give or take a minute. And the radio won't work, and the TV won't work, and your computer won't work, and your phone won't work, and your sat-nav won't work, and nothing's going to work. That's what war's going to be like. I'm sure of it. It's not going to be people standing on a battlefield taking pot shots at each other, which is what we are spending our money on. It's just completely nuts. And, by the way, this is way too serious for this show, but the nuclear deterrent. Think of the stuff that doesn't work. I mean, our battleships don't work, our submarines don't work. The Land Rovers that we put our troops in, they don't work. Their boots were too fragile for use in deserts, and they melted. And the rifles jammed. And basically, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And has the military been changed significantly since then? Since we were talking about snatch Land Rovers? No, they're all the same people. It's all the same institution. They're making the same stupid mistakes. So does anybody really think that if it came down to it, and on one of our nuclear submarines, one of the ones that actually works, some rating stabbed his finger down on the big red button marked go, that anything would happen. I mean, hands up who thinks it would. And now hands up who thinks it wouldn't. Overwhelming. 0345 6060 973. I want to talk about... there's plenty to talk about other than that. I want to talk about Twitter. I want to talk about the astronauts in space. The fact that our gas is running out. Oh, those 12 councillors that said to Nigel Farage, right, that's it, we're leaving. It just keeps getting worse and worse for Uncle Nigel. The Clacton gas bag not having a good week. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
What number are you calling from?
Thanks for asking. It is 0345 6060 973. Andrew says, hi Nick, that moon-faced creeps hostage video reminded me of someone. Billy Bleach off the Fast Show. I know you won't, but take a look. No, I won't. I have no idea what you're talking about. The moon-faced creeps hostage video. What's that? I wonder if my glamorous assistant knows. Oh, there's no one in there. There's no one in there. Nobody in there. Thomas says, hi Nick, pubs should have a post office counter. One gets a call number at the bar with a drink. Then, when called, leaves the table to post a parcel or whatever. No queuing is needed. No. But thanks for asking. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
How you doing, Nick?
Good.
It's a serious show tonight.
Well, it's not really. Not really.
No, it never is. You know, I mean, let's try to face up to a few. You know, try to be cheerful about it. You know, it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a tough whole year. I was just thinking in broader terms. I think people just shout at each other now, don't they? They don't argue anymore. They just live on emotion and they say
everyone's on send.
You were wrong, and nobody, and I'm right, and it's as simple as that. Nobody is open to discussion.
No.
There isn't any dialogue anymore between people, and it's falling in nicely in line. This goes back, you know, when Trump got elected first time, the guy called Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yes.
He just wrote it all out. He said this is the way it's going to be. Once you take power, don't let it go. People will not. People are moving into this undemocratic phase.
Yeah, that's right.
And nobody is going to listen to anybody, and just everything's going to be emotional, and nobody will argue. There will be no dialogue.
We've got to the place where people want a dictator. They just want the dictator that is going to be good to them personally, not understanding the point that when a dictator takes power, then all bets are off. Just because you voted for him, he's not going to look up your voting record and be nice to you. He's going to be horrible to everybody.
Yep. It's something it used to be called. It's an unfashionable word now, but it was neoliberalism. It was an idea that they were going to remove democracy, and everybody just laughed at it, and nobody was going to pay any. And here we are. Mm-hmm. We're there. We get in there. The relation, you can link it all with exactly what happened in 1930s Germany.
Yeah, completely.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is moving in there.
Well, the only thing, I've said it over and over again, the only thing that anybody ever learns from history is that nobody ever learns anything from history. And of course we're going to repeat all of that. Of course we are.
Yeah, and we don't know who the players are at the moment. People are pointing at Ukraine and saying, okay, that could be 1930s Spain, where people, the dictators were playing at it. You got North Korea sending a few play actors into it. The comparison with 1930s Spain and the Civil War is pretty good. It may not be. It's far too complicated for that. But we're on the verge, aren't we? We're on the verge of something very grim.
Yeah, but you know what? People have been saying that at the beginning of every year since the dawn of time. And it always seems like, oh, well, all the cards are falling into place and it's going to be, a world war is inevitable. People have been saying that since I was a child. You remember paint your windows white and hide under the kitchen table, duck and cover, all of that? Yep. Yeah, well, it's exactly the same thing. And we've got to this point without a big major war, nothing on these shores. So, let's not get too downhearted, Jeff. And if it does happen, there's nothing that you or I can do about it. Nothing that really anybody that's listening to this can do about it. So let's just,
have a good laugh.
Exactly, yes.
Get down the goose and cuckoo.
The goose and cuckoo. Exactly.
And have a pint and forget about it.
Have a mocktail and enjoy yourself.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Chin up, mate. This text says, hi, Nick. Did you know that Alexa makes Trump noises? All you say is, Alexa, make Trump noises, and it does sound very much like the noise that Donald Trump makes on a regular basis. No, I did not know that. If that's true, and the screaming Mimi finds out, then Jeff Bezos is going to be up for it. Kadri in Ashford says, the idea about the island, it was amazing. Let's make it real. I'll chip in something, and we can make me president. Yes, but just as long as nobody else comes with me. I want you to have a whip round, buy an island, and then I'll go and live on it, and then build a big, beautiful wall. I'm going to be building a wall. And the thing about a wall is that you just cannot get through it.
If there's a concrete wall in front of you, go through it, go over it, go around it, but get to the other side of that wall.
Yeah, I'll be building my own defences on the other side of that wall. So watch out. I'm just saying, no visitors. York. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Nick. How are you tonight?
I am great, mate.
Great. On the latest What's Your Problem podcast, you were talking about people smoking on telly and films.
Yeah.
Well, earlier this week, I think it was Tuesday, I was watching Peter Cook Night on BBC4.
Oh, well, he will have probably been sparking up like a bonfire. Yeah.
They showed bits of chat shows and all sorts, and every chat show he was on, he had a cigarette.
Smoking, yeah. It's amazing to see that, isn't it? It's quite surprising how quickly we got used to not having smokers in public, like in pubs, for instance. Can you remember back to when the ban came in? And people were saying, oh, well, this will never work. All the pubs are going to go out of business because nobody will go there anymore. The same thing they're talking about now. Every time anybody says anything about, the last one was smoking in pub gardens. They say, oh, well, that's going to be the end of the pub business. Rubbish. And, and the same thing happened then. And then the very next day, nobody smoked. And it was like a revelation. I can breathe, we said. But also, pubs really smelt bad.
Oh, no.
You got the idea of what they actually smell like when they're not full of smoke, and it was not nice. Yeah, pretty awful.
That's terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
Did you like Dud and Pete?
Loved them. Yeah, Pete and Dud, I think.
Pete and Dud, yeah.
Well,
yeah. They showed a lot of clips, and they were so funny. And there was poor Dud there trying not to laugh.
Well, that was one of the funniest parts, was when he was, he used to, Peter Cook used to try to make him corpse. And when somebody is helplessly laughing, that just tickles everybody else's funny bone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Was it the one where they were in the art gallery he was eating a sandwich and he couldn't stop laughing, you know.
But
Pete says, "You enjoying that sandwich, Dud?"
It is surprising when you see clips of old shows and they come on and they're either holding a cigarette or even more surprising is when they light one up on camera. You just think, blimey, how are you allowed to get away with that? But they just did it. I mean, you see, apart from anything else, it seems a bit rude now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's so strange, isn't it? But they all did it back then.
I guess it's it helps with the nerves, maybe, going through the ritual of opening the pack and, you know, pulling out the foil and popping up the cigarette from, its enclosed confinement.
And I was thinking the other day, but when I started work, I was in a little office with about 4 other people, and they all smoked. God. So can you imagine what it was like?
Awful.
But we just didn't think anything about it.
Yeah, you're lucky to be alive.
I am. I know.
People that said anything were like, "Oh, they would complain about you saying something about them fouling your air. I mean, they were actually poisoning you slowly. Well, not even slowly. I used to work in a pub in Clapham North when it was when you could still smoke, and I used to come home absolutely reeking. And you didn't realise it until you got up the next morning and you put the clothes back on that you'd had on the previous night, and you almost threw up. It was so strong. I mean, I'm surprised the clothes didn't burst into flames as they hit the bedroom floor.
Well, it was the same when he used to go to the pictures. He'd come home thinking of cigarettes.
Yes, but they would have an aisle down the front, and on the left it would be the smoking section, and on the right it would be the non-smoking section, as though smoke would obey those rules.
That's right. Just as if.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing.
Another thing. Yeah.
You were dead right about the sex scenes. We don't want them.
No.
They're embarrassing.
They are embarrassing.
Especially if you're watching with someone else. Oh, my God.
Well,
awful.
If you're watching with your parents...
Oh, no.
Yeah, you just want the world to open up and swallow you whole.
You do. It's terrible, isn't it?
It's just... I mean... So you were listening to the podcast that I do with me and that I do with Carol McGiffin, which is called "What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol?" We've just done our 300th episode, and it is it's very amusing. She is funny, and we set each other off every week. I look forward to doing it every week, twice a week. Comes out Monday and Thursdays and Friday. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? And we were talking about this, and we agree on virtually nothing at all, me and Carol. But we agreed on this, that they really should drop the sex scenes, because we know they're not really doing it. So, I mean, what's the point? Why can't they just do a slow fade out when they get to the bedroom, and then we can imagine what they did, rather than the grunting and the, ugh.
Terrible. I had to laugh when Carol said, I'm getting a bit of a prude.
Yeah.
Carol getting a bit of a prude.
A bit of a prude. Yeah, but it's not prudish. It's just that, I mean, I don't... it's not that I'm prudish. It's just... Well, embarrassing, I suppose, is what it is. Because it's just so fake. You know it's fake. So what's the point of putting it in? I mean, OK, they're in love. I get it.
And you just sit there waiting for it to finish.
Yes, you do.
God.
Yeah.
Awful.
Jan, I can guarantee there are no sex scenes in this show.
Oh, that's good.
You can relax. Thanks a lot, Jan. 0345 6060 973. By the way, that podcast is called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? And the idea is that it's a problem-solving podcast. So if you've got a problem or a dilemma or an issue or something you've always thought, God, I wonder why that is. Well, as long as you don't want real, proper advice and you don't mind us laughing our faces off, then send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com, nickandcarol @global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol?
Oh, right, yeah.
This is LBC. Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Everything is going extremely well.
Yeah, you bet your life it is. Richard in Richmond texts Eurasia Group. You know, they had a big hit with A Little Respect in the 1990s. Did they? Is that who they were?
Rock and roll!
And this text says, why are you such? Full stop. Is there any point in reading on?
No.
But I will anyway. Why are you such? Full stop. Downer regarding Trump. We in the UK could do with a Trump-type leader who he... WLD, who he would certainly balance the books a whole lot quicker than our serial politicians who all have their noses in the trough and adopt similar me-first mentality and are institutionally money wasters. Well, like I said, it wasn't worth reading on. I don't know who you are because you remain anonymous, but you're an idiot, Anonymous. West Midlands, Ranges.
Hi, Nick. You're right, man.
Yes, good, thanks.
Yeah, regarding naughty scenes in films, yeah? Okay.
On TV. I mean, films is sort of a bit different, I suppose, but it's... I mean, when they do that, then that's my cue to go to the loo.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, especially when you was kids watching it with your parents.
The worst, yeah.
Yeah, in Bollywood films, like Indian films, yeah, they hardly do anything like that. And when someone's about to kiss someone, a tree will come in the way or something like that to avoid it, yeah?
Right, I mean, I don't mind a little light kissing as long as it is, relevant to the storyline, but we don't need to see the bedroom scene. We can just imagine. We know what it looks like. We don't need to see them pretending to do it.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And then there was a film released, I think I was only a child, I was living in India at the time. It was called Bobby, right? And the woman, she was only 16 and she was a superstar. And she was about to take her bikini off, right? And a train comes in the way. And in Bombay, right, this bloke had watched this film every day, right? And when somebody interviewed him, I said to him, this is a true story, you can get your glamorous assistant to check it. He said, how come you watched it so many times? He was, I was hoping for the train to be late one day.
Yeah, one day. Fingers crossed.
The train might be late, right? That's true, right?
Yes.
And I'm just surprised, Nick, that, when Nigel Farage said, there's a few idiots in my party.
Yes.
Right?
He did.
And he did, didn't he? And
I have the evidence to prove it.
We've got a few idiots in our party.
Yes.
And there's 11 councillors that are leaving now. I think
12,
I've been informed that they're 12 now, yeah. Right, so now, he says, well, Elon still loves me and everything, right?
Yeah, sure he does.
Right, sure he does, yeah. Donny, when he went to see him when he had the towel on his ear, he never went in the room. I wonder what's going to happen in next week and the next couple of weeks. Is he going to resign from the party or is he going to get thrown out? Because people are going to be leaving in droves. And, we say Kenny Bednock, is a gift that keeps giving. I think Farage is taken over now. I don't know what you think.
I think it's been an unsettling week for Nigel Farage because he's used to just sailing through on a wave of adulation, and now he's been brought up short by not just quislings, not underlings, but people who could actually transform his party into something really huge. And he had the money dangled in front of his face, and then he got it, not only the money whipped away, but the rug that he was standing on. I mean, and for it to happen on the very same day that he was on TV, Farage was on telly praising Elon Musk as the person that was going to make his party cool.
He's a victim. He's having done to him what he was doing to other people now, right? And now the shoe's on the other foot. And I find it amazing, right, that none of the right-wing press are talking about it. They are saying it briefly, and finally 11 people are leaving or trying to leave the bot. Now, where are they, in fairness? I mean, then they're going on, I know I go on a bit, right? I've got to admit that. But, Rachel Reeves, she's gone to China. And when I hear people, the Chinese president doesn't really like the British because his wife ran off. Hang on, you're the leader of the... You're the lead. He doesn't say... I've said this many a times. India, China, they do not want war, as in conventional war. They want to make money and they want to be the top dog, right? That's where the money is, right? Yeah. And Donald Trump, right, is going on and he's telling everybody he's going to put import tariffs on there. And yet his bestie's buddy is opening the biggest electric vehicle plant in China.
Yeah. And how that's going to play out, I have no idea. Because Donald Trump's administration is eating itself alive, and they haven't even started yet. I mean, it's like a World Wrestling Federation match, and he's not even been installed in the White House yet. It's just comical.
Can I just talk about smoking on TV as well? During Christmas, I watched the Sweeney, the new version with Ray Winston in there.
Oh, right. No, I haven't seen it.
Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, my God. Listen, you've got to see it, mate. It is like the original Sweeney, and it was good. And there's a lot of smoking going on in there as well. All right. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it is worth watching. Normally... most of the new modern films, I really don't like watching them, but that is a good one. And I got news on Jonathan as well. See, Jonathan, right, phoned me up a couple of weeks ago. He says, Ranjit, listen, we've been country fellas. I says, well, I'm not.
No, you're making this up now, aren't you?
No, he says...
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I have a question. In short, I have a question for you. How's business since we all came back after the New Year?
Steady, because people have money left over from Christmas.
Because everywhere I go is empty. It's like
it is empty. Right. It is empty, but it's still doing okay. Because to be honest with you, business has flatlined for about a year, really. To be honest, and there was no uplift. Normally, you have about a 30 to 40% uplift, and there was no uplift.
At Christmas, you mean?
Yeah, at Christmas and all of December.
Blimey.
It's just been flatlined. It can't go any worse, right?
Well.
So we just... we can... Hang on. I'm going to join Reform and try and become a councillor.
Yeah, well, I think they have vacancies. Yeah. Okay, well, I wish you all the best with that.
Business is hard, to be honest with you. And I think with all this negative news that's going on everywhere, I've noticed the people who have got good jobs, they're fine. They're not really worried about things. It's the people who are, the ones that vote for reform and that kind of stuff.
The ones that are just about getting by.
I can't call my customers dinglings, right? But there are a few. There's one last week. He says to me, you know what, Ranji? I says, what? He says, you like a bit of politics, don't you? I says, yeah, I do. That's my forte. He says, what we need is Donald Trump, Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson in charge of this country. And you know what? This guy is an elderly gentleman, right, working class, and I just didn't want to insult him. I said, yep, I totally agree with you. And that was a proper white lie. I didn't want to insult him because he's a nice guy. Yeah.
Just oversalt his chips next time, Ranjit. All right, I've got to go, but thanks a lot, mate. Cheers. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, how is that going to play out? It's going to be fascinating to behold, because what Elon Musk wants appears to be the opposite of what Donald Trump wants. I mean, they both want each other for various reasons. Trump wants the money that Musk can bring, and Elon Musk wants the power, the big bat that Donald Trump can wield, because you can't command an army, for instance, or the entire edifice of the legal establishment with just money compared to a president. And so together they are like a world-conquering force, potentially. But I just think that they won't be able to live with each other because they'll both want completely different things. And what Donald Trump has promised his people, of course, I mean, whether he actually delivers on any of it is kind of doubtful, but he's going to have to deliver on some of it at least, just to, make his cult fans feel like they haven't been had. But they're going to be pulling in opposite directions, and China is particularly key to all of that. I just can't imagine how this is going to play out, and not in the way that Donald Trump thought that it might, or that Elon Musk thinks that it might. All of those people that we thought were geniuses were going to take over the world, they're just a bunch of kids like in the playground, as I think we were saying last night. Right, a couple of more texts, and then the news, and then back to you. Mac says, the good thing about the imminent end of days is that it is a great leveller. Rich or poor, successful or otherwise, none of us are making it out of this decade. Blimey. That's a bit alarming. We're not going to make it out of this decade. Well, I've got higher hopes than that. Michael says, so we are doing deals with China. So you know any closer countries we could do deals with? Well, yeah, I mean, of course we want to do deals with the European Union because they're right there. It's the biggest trading bloc in the world. They are friends. We have history with them, and we could slip right into all of their rules and regulations because we still follow them. That's the nature of our sovereignty. We still do what they say. But, China makes everything. And they got a boatload of money. China makes everything to the extent that if you go through Donald Trump's merchandise store, everything in there, almost everything, is made in China. All of that Make America Great Again stuff, all made in China. So it's everywhere. And you probably can't, I bet you can't reach out and touch something that wasn't either made in China or had a component made in China. I bet there's nothing in the room that you're sitting in right now that you could point to that wasn't either made in or had a component made in China. China.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
Yes, the whole world has in fact gone crazy. Oliver emails, I have a 2004 Jaguar, but I'm disappointed to say that it is ULEZ compliant. I'm going to get a non-compliant one to annoy lefties like you and Khan, and I'm not paying the charge, says Oliver. Oliver is 12. He actually wrote that in. What kind of a person is Oliver? This text says, thank you for your response to my text of last night. So the left, e.g. you... Oh, God, this is 2 in a row on the Nicky Abbott Show. The left, e.g. you, will explain all economic indicators and trajectory over the next 5 years as a result of the Biden inheritance. Is that if the changes are either good or bad, or only if good? The USA economy is indeed in fairly good shape, but I'd hazard a guess if the trajectory is negative, you'd say the complete opposite and blame it on a new administration. Wow, that was... Talk about confused. Let's say halfway through, let's say at least the first year, if all the indicators go up in and continue in a straight line, then you'd have to say that it is down to what has been left. If things were plunging downwards, if, prices were through the roof and jobs were bad and the interest rate was abysmal, then if all that was plunging downwards and then Donald Trump, within, let's say, 6 months, turned that around and it all started going up into positive territory, then, yeah, that's Donald Trump. But if it's all going up as it is at the moment, like almost vertically America is doing so well, then... of course, if it continues to do well, that's what he took over. It's a silly thing to say. And didn't make any sense the way you've written it, but I understand what you're saying. I'm just wondering if you do. Phil in Accrington says, do you know what the Tories call Rachel Reeves? Rachel from Accounts. Yeah, that's not the Tories. That's, I think, the Mail. Or does it really matter? Now we're into Trump thinking up names for people. That's what politicians are doing now. They're thinking up childish playground names for people. They haven't changed at all, have they? I mean, not a beat, the Tories. They just carried on as though, after the last election, as though nothing happened. This says, could we just unplug and plug in America again, see if it works properly? Unplug and plug it back in again. That is excellent advice. This is from The Guardian. As Donald Trump's second inauguration as president quickly approaches, Americans are stocking up on goods in anticipation of tariffs that Trump plans to place on imports. They're out there spending money like drunken sailors on tablets and appliances made in China and hybrid cars built in Canada and European wine and you name it. They want it before the tangerine twit makes everything more expensive. Since the election, Trump's promised to immediately impose a 25% on Mexican and Canadian imports. Is he really that dumb? Could he actually do that? This is along with increasing existing tariffs on Chinese imports by 10% and put tariffs of 10 to 20% on all imports from absolutely everywhere, including here. Which will be interesting because the dinglings that voted for him did so because he told them he'd bring prices down. That was the number one reason they voted for him. He told them that he would make everything cheaper. That was pretty much his pitch. Vote for me, everything will be cheaper. He also then told them he would be placing tariffs on foreign goods, but he said that tariffs are paid by the country doing the exporting to America. And even though everyone who knows anything about anything said that's not how tariffs work, I guess his cult fans just believed Orange Jesus because he wouldn't lie about a thing like that, would he? Well, yeah, of course he would. But it is possible he really does not know how tariffs work. But the companies that would have to pay them do. Walmart, the supermarket giant, the biggest company by revenue in the world, the biggest private employer on earth, the place where America buys its stuff, said that the tariffs they would have to pay on pretty much everything will get passed directly onto the American consumer. So it's going to be interesting. It's like a science experiment. I can't wait to see what knots his fans are going to twist themselves into to try and explain how nothing is as Donny promised it would be without admitting that they've been had. How are they going to do that? Isn't it exciting? And felonious skunk's new daddy, Elon Musk, is big in China. His batteries are made in China. He wants to sell his cars in China. And, you know, China makes some pretty good electric cars now. Here's how weird a place we're in. Chinese cars are cooler than Teslas. I bet there's not a single other product that you can think of that is cooler if it's Chinese than if it's American. Name one. Go on, I double dare you. You can't. That is the Elon effect. That is. MG, the classic British brand. That's Chinese. MG. I mean, they make a pretty good-looking electric car now. Kind of, it looks a bit like a Lamborghini that's shrunk. The BYD, I see those everywhere. They're Chinese. I mean, they're cooler than the Musk mobile. I mean, you might as well be wearing a MAGA hat when you drive a Tesla. So the man that bankrolled Donald Trump is going to be one of the ones hurt most by a trade war with China. I mean, I can't wait to see how that plays out. They're going to be screaming at each other. I mean, that is going to create some dissonance in Donald Trump's brain. He loves Elon. He hates Elon. He needs Elon, but he's sick of having him around. He wants his money, but his signature policy is going to lose Elon money. I mean, we don't know who's going to win, but we know who's going to lose. It's going to be everybody else. All of us. And, of course, ask an economist, and they'll say that prices will increase if somebody puts tariffs on them. And the policy is being sold, or was sold to the American people, as a way to encourage American companies to produce their goods in America. But they aren't going to do that. I mean, the global supply chain, it's like ivy going up a tree. You can't disentangle it. It's so interconnected. The companies would have to scratch everything and start again. They're not going to do that. They're just going to pass the tariffs on to the American consumer. I mean, car companies or people that make, farming equipment, they're not going to bring their manufacturing back into America. The cost would be unbelievable. So they're just going to take the tariffs that Trump puts on them, call it a Trump tax increase, and tell their customers that, what you're going to do. Because everything else is going to cost more as well. I mean, they won't have an alternative to buy. And The Guardian is reporting that people are battening down the hatches and getting in stock and buying ahead of time, trying to mitigate the damage that the incoming tangerine twit is going to do. Half of the respondents in a poll said that they were planning purchases before Trump gets into office. 62% said they were adjusting their financial plans for the next year. I mean, it doesn't really sound like a triumphant return if Americans are already trying to reduce the damage that the new president is going to wreak. And the people who responded to the poll said they'd made major electronics purchases in anticipation of new tariffs against China. 60% on Chinese imports would push up prices for everything. You name it. Laptops, tablets, smartphones, washing machines, tumble dryers, everything. And many said that they would have preferred not to buy all this stuff now, but, they feel like they'll have to because these prices won't last forever. And those who are planning home renovations, they're buying in construction materials and just storing them in the garage in advance of tariffs. If he puts a tariff on everything that comes in from Canada, that's where the wood comes from. And people are people are stocking up on food and toilet paper.
What?
Yeah, back to that again. Stocking up on toilet paper. I mean, it's less like an incoming presidency, more like an incoming storm. Still, could be worse, I suppose. Can't think of how off the top of my head, but it could be. Ron in Croydon says, "Hi, Nick, why don't you explain to your listeners that the country is broke? Reeves had to go begging for investment. People need to understand. Listen to Professor Wolf." Professor who? Who's Professor Wolf? The country is broke. Well, we're not broke. We're the 6th richest economy in the world, so we keep being told. Just because we owe a lot of money, don't make no never mind. Countries don't go broke like that. Just as long as you've got the money to pay the interest on your loans, you'd be just fine. And, just after the Second World War, we were broke, properly broke. And what happened then? Well, the Labour government changed this country for the best forever. Came up with all sorts of things, including but not limited to the NHS, for crying out loud. Infrastructure investment, that's what you need. Broke. And everybody on earth wants some Chinese infrastructure. Blimey, we were angling to get them to build our nuclear power stations, while telling people that their phones were dangerous. I mean, the stuff that goes on is kind of hard to believe. This text says, "Hi Nick, is it true that Trump has purchased the Bibi Stockholm in the belief that he now owns Sweden?"
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Have an outside line, please.
0345 6060 973. Sam in Cambridge says, "Nick, I think Rachel Reeves should have gone to China to try to negotiate trade. However, shouting about a £600 million deal over the next few years is pathetic, considering her clobbering the elderly in winter fuel generating $10 billion. Yeah, that is a silly number, and they shouldn't have released it, because $600 million over 5 years or whatever it is, that's akin to nothing at all. But that's not the it of it. That's not why she went to China. It's the the billions and tens of billions and hundreds of billions of pounds that the Chinese have got burning a hole in their pocket that they want to invest worldwide. So that's what that was about. And as for the clobbering the elderly, generating 10 billion, well, you know, the elderly that needed it, because it's means tested and they got their money, what you should actually be more concerned about is the tiny amount of pension that we give old people in this country compared to almost every other country that we're in competition with. All the people in Europe do better in their old age than our pensioners do in this country. I think that is the argument that we should be having, not some tiny amount that they get as a cheque once a year in order to... I mean, apart from anything else, it's not giving it to the pensioners, it's giving it to the energy giants. I mean, they're making record profits. Why can't they give everybody over the age of, let's say, 60, over the pension age, which is 67, 8, why can't they give them, credit on their bill? Not like they haven't made out like bandits over the past few years. Woolwich, Richard.
Oh, hi, Nick. Hello.
Richard.
Professor Wolf. I know who he is.
Who is he?
It's Professor Heinz Wolf. He was the guy on the Great Egg Race. Do you remember that? The Great Egg Race. It was a afternoon show.
I know the name, but I don't think I saw the programme. Why would somebody be quoting a man who was on a daytime TV show?
Yeah. Probably not. It's probably somebody else. But it just reminded me of that beautiful afternoon show when I was sort of skiving off school, and just you kind of and. I mean, the concept was, as I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, that they had to build some contraption that would carry an egg for a distance without dropping it. It was a beautiful program.
That was a series? They did that every week?
Yeah. Yeah, it ran for about sort of 3 or 4 years.
Blimey.
And, yeah, it was brilliant. It was absolutely... You're going to get loads of calls about this now, I'm sure.
What was the format, though? Did they give them a certain amount of materials that was different every week, with which they had to build this... No, I think they gave them the same kind of box of materials, and you just had to... and you had a team, and they had to construct this kind of contraption of carrying an egg over a certain distance, and if you could carry it, and the winner was of the week was the person that could carry the egg without dropping it over a series of time. But they had the same material every week. That doesn't sound like something that you could have a lot of. It's the same thing every week, surely.
Yeah, maybe my memory's going a bit at this time, but because I did dry January up until now.
Wow, that's not bad. That's almost 11 days. 11 days, everybody.
11 days.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. How did it make you feel?
Yeah, it was rubbish. I mean, I'm just, why do you have dry January in January? That's
terrible. It's January or February, the worst months to give up alcohol. Any other month would be better.
Completely. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I sat there thinking, earlier, oh my God, what am I doing? This is just absurd.
I've never even considered it, because of all the months in the year to give up booze, January has to be the worst, because you just come through Christmas and you're on a little bit of a high, and then you take all the Christmas lights down, and then you're just staring at blank walls. All of the colour has been removed from your life. It's still dark. It's colder than it has been in the winter so far. It's miserable outside, and you're going to make it even worse for yourself?
Exactly.
That's nuts. I mean, dry June would be better.
Nick, if this show doesn't work out for you, you should go into therapy. You're quite right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's where the money is. That's what I heard. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Richard. Cheers, mate. Dry January. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you.
No. This text says, Nick, Chris Philp claims that the deportations of 16,000 by Labour was, quotes, continuing the trajectory of the Conservative Party. He is so full of, and that's where that message ends. I just can't bear looking at him or listening to him. Of all of them, of all of the Tories that are still there, there's just something about him that just really rubs me up the wrong way. He comes across like a robot. He's like virtually unstoppable in his spiel, all of which sounds as though he's learnt it by rote. Nicky in Kent says, Nick, the great big... Shall I start this again?
No.
Nicky in Kent says, Nick, the great big greedy nincompoop...
The great big greedy nincompoop.
That guy keeps calling the Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel from Accounts. Oh, it's him. Right, yeah, thought so. And saying she's not qualified. She's not qualified. Mr. Blobby was the Foreign Secretary and Prime Minister with a great pedigree, a populist journalist who was sacked twice for lying. Yeah. And I wonder if the Mail is actually getting any of its money back on that column, which they hide behind a paywall. I mean, if my life depended on it, I don't think I would pay to read his stuff. Deborah says, in a little cave near York. Oh, she doesn't say that. She's in a little cave near York. Really? What, waiting for the apocalypse? Says, hi, Nick, you have me in stitches with the priority from Rishi. The question is, where the heck is Dominic, who nearly brought the government down? Dominic who? Oh, that Dominic. The genius. So many geniuses. We've been subject to so many geniuses over the last few years. It's amazing how we ain't doing so well, isn't it? I mean, it's just been one after the other. Self-confessed geniuses have been running this country, and look at the state of us. This says, Nick, why do you love Labour so much? Because they're not the Conservative Party. 14 years had it up to my eyeballs. That's why. I understand hatred for the Tories, says the message, but Labour are now a cruel, incompetent government. Oh, God. Just look at the guilt rates. Yeah, well, that's what everybody I know wakes up first thing in the morning and thinks, God, I wonder what the guilt rates are. Worst for 30 years, apparently. That's their record, not Fish's or the Lisbots. Keir is a snake, says that anonymous person. Look at the guilt rates. What are you talking about? This and Labour's problem is, I mean, I could spend the rest of this show reading out the things that they have done already or have put into train to do. Started the process of doing. Having it go through Parliament for, all those Westminster machinations that you have to go through to get something done. The list is enormous. I mean, it's remarkable how long a list it is, how much they've actually got through so far. Their problem is they don't tell anybody about it. Their communications are terrible. And I think it's because they don't want to play the game. But the game is the game. They're being judged by the game, their ability to blow smoke up their own fundament. Because that's what Boris did. I mean, that's pretty much all he did. Oh, everything's great with me. And the Lisbot's still doing it.
Absolutely.
Saying everything would have been great if only we'd stuck with her. And yet Labour, they seem to be working flat out, trying to improve things and getting quite a lot done. An amazing amount, really. I mean, talk about hitting the ground running, but nobody knows anything about it. And so they assume they're doing nothing. I mean, the assumption in the country seems to be that Labour have got their feet up, smoking a cigar and trying to work out ways in which to torture old people. Because they're not saying what they're doing. They're not saying it out loud. There seems to be an embarrassment on their part to actually big up themselves, because that's what this is. That's what politics is. And it's as though they don't want to play politics. They want to play grown-ups and do grown-up things and, do good for the country, to actually get things done, improve the NHS and improve transport and improve the lot of your local council and reopen libraries and, all of that stuff that they're trying to do. The things that people actually care about. But that's not really the world we live in anymore. We live in a world of how do you feel? And if you haven't been told about the things that they're doing, then you won't feel as though they've been done. It's quite sad, really. I mean, we get the government that we deserve. But I'm not sure that we get we deserve this one. We probably deserve the one that was run by this bloke.
Yeah. Wait.
Just the constant lying and the shoveling of taxpayers' money into the pockets of those that don't deserve it, and treating the whole thing like a game. That's what we deserve, because that seems to me like what people actually want. It's infuriating, actually. Never mind, that's life. Got to get used to it, I suppose. This says, Nick, heard anything about Rishi recently? No, not a word. Rushed to Malibu to sift through the ashes of his $5 million condo, perhaps. Well, for the benefit of those people who are his neighbours, I hope not. But for people who live in that manner, it doesn't look very good, does it? Text from Jerry in Croydon says the value of the latest Chinese trade deal is chicken feed compared to the money squandered by the Tories on their chums' substandard PPE, which was supposedly intended to cope with COVID, which came from China, says Jerry. See how it's all connected? Very suspicious. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
So, hello.
So they opened their big mouths and out came talk. Talk.
No, they're not opening their big mouths. They are sending me thousands of messages by waggling their thumbs at their phones. Nobody is using the phone to speak to me with their mouth. I mean, I don't normally say this, but look at this. I've got page after page after page after page after page of messages to read out. And no calls. All of the people, I mean, I've seen the numbers. We're doing fine. It's just that nobody calls anymore. It's just a few people that actually pick up the phone. Nobody wants to use their mouth to communicate anymore. It's all waggling thumbs at imaginary keyboards. It's painful. And this show is becoming Nick reads people's messages. I would prefer to talk to you. It would be nice. This says, Nick, I thought your books were always 99p or thereabouts. No, I've been that for years. I mean, at the very beginning when I started doing a book of the A to Z, I thought, what's the cheapest that I can sell it for? And the cheapest that they allowed me to sell it for was 99p, from which I would get almost nothing at all. And so I thought, well, I'll put it at the price of a coffee. Because, I mean, if you've been entertained at all in the whole year, would it be too much to ask to buy me a coffee? And so that's the reason that I set it at the price that it is, because it's a coffee. I mean, if you order the paperback, and I'm talking about the book of the year that I release every year, the A to Z is in there, and my take on all the stories that we were talking about on this show over the year. Or that I was talking to a screen and you were texting me back your thoughts. The book is just out on ebook and paperback form. It's called What a Way to Run a Country on Amazon. And if you order the paperback, when I recommend that you order the ebook, for the planet, but if you order the paperback, there's the printing costs, and then there's the postage costs. I'm not sure that actually comes out of the price, but then Amazon takes a cut, and it all whittles down to almost nothing at all. So it's not like I'm making out like a bandit. It's just a coffee. This says, all those mega-rich, money-hungry idiots should remember they can spend their entire life in pursuit of even more money that they don't need. But the second they die, it's not theirs anymore. What a waste of a life. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Nobody on their deathbed thinks, God, I wish I'd earned more money. I mean, Elon Musk on his deathbed, will he be thinking, God, I wish that Donald Trump, my friend, had enacted more tax cuts, because then I would have been worth another 100 billion. Then I'd have been happy. No. He'll think, God, I wish I'd spent more time with my kids, or more time with my parents, or more time on holiday, or more time not dad dancing around behind some orange twit. I wish that I'd been happier, he'll say. And this endless pursuit, this sort of berserk, careering pursuit of more, that is not going to make you happy. That is the antithesis of happiness. It's going to make you miserable, because you're never going to get enough. There's no such thing as enough. Wow, look at that. All I have to do is ask, and now there's too many people to talk to. Let's start with Croydon. Hello, Phil.
Hello, Nick.
Phil.
You all right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Yeah, I've had a mixture of a day today. I lost my glasses tonight, my reading glasses.
Oh, no.
I tried on my party outfit for my 60th birthday next month.
Your 60th birthday?
Yeah.
What, you going as?
No, I formed a band. I'm singing in my band.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, called the Phil Spectacle.
The Phil Spectacle.
Yeah, well, given the fact I lost my bloody glasses.
Yeah, lost your glasses, yeah. And you know what you need to find your glasses?
A pair of glasses.
Your glasses, that's right.
Guess who I bumped into the opticians today? Nick?
Was that a question, or was that the setup and a joke?
I just said, guess who I bumped into on the way to the optician today? Everyone.
A listener with material.
Oh, no.
Well, I wish you all the best with your 60th birthday there, Phil. Thanks a lot, mate. 60 years old. Appreciate the call, Phil, but I do draw the line at jokes. Bob says, I will follow your texter's advice to schedule a dental appointment on Trump's inauguration day, but if it's cancelled, I will also schedule a colonoscopy as a backup. Like I said, listeners with material. Sevenoaks. Hello, Mark.
Hi. You were saying that the Labour is not communicating well and getting on with the job.
Yes.
But if they were to be grown up about communicating the same way they are being grown up about getting things done, they wouldn't be able to keep quiet about Brexit. And they're trying very hard not to talk about Brexit.
Well, they're saying that they're going to prioritise, I don't know whether they said prioritise, but they're going to look very strongly at, establishing ties with the EU, and let's all be grown up, and we can trade with each other without going through all of that shall we rejoin thing again. And there's probably truth in that.
Well, how far have they got with that? Rejoining the single market and the customs union is easy because the rules of those are set out. We just have to follow them, and we have done in the past, so they know we can do it.
Well, whether they'd want us to do it is another issue entirely, though, isn't it? Because we were nothing but troublemakers when we were in, and now we're out. They've lost a bit of money, but not as much money as we have. But, I think for the benefit of everybody, it would be better if we were closer to the EU, particularly as, the big bullies in the playground, China, America, and increasingly India and Russia, they're all going to be just picking off lonely countries like sitting ducks, and here we are bobbing about on the sea, friendless. So let's make friends.
Yes. Well, the point is that the EU wouldn't have a problem with us at all.
Well, we don't know that.
Providing that we introduce proportional representation.
Right. Well, that's not going to happen.
Sorry?
That's not going to happen.
Well, they're not even discussing it. And
right. Neither will they ever, because as I believe that we've had this conversation before, Mark, the people who have the power to bring in proportional representation would be giving up their own power, so they aren't going to do that.
Well, that's assuming they believe they'll always have power.
Yeah, of course they do. But that's the nature of power. You always believe you're going to have it.
Well, perhaps not all of the electorate of the Labour Party are of that opinion, but but you can't accuse them of being grown up about discussing things if they're not going to be talking about that type of thing. So that's, I think, why they're being quiet.
No, that's no reason to be quiet about all of the other things that they're doing. I mean, they might want to be quiet about the EU because, well, for several reasons. One of which is that they fear the reaction from a dwindling number of people who may, at some future point, consider voting Labour, which I think is stupid, and you probably think that too.
Yes, I do, and I've heard, for example, that Farage is attracting a large number of young voters, and I think
very much doubt that.
Well, there'd be nothing better to stop him doing that than moving closer to the EU, because that's where young people want.
That is true, yes. And if he does do what he said he's going to do and reduce the voting age to 16, then that would be an issue that would become more and more important. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mark. 0345 6060 973. Paul in Manchester says, I'm looking forward to Emperor Musk being deposed by the Angry Birds when the feathery cannonballs will take us a step closer to sane leadership. What? I'm looking forward to Emperor Musk being deposed by the Angry Birds when the feathery cannonballs will take us a step closer to sane leadership. I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, I remember Angry Birds. Are they still a thing? It seemed like everybody was playing that at one time. Can't remember the feathery cannonballs, and other than that, I've got no clue what you're on about. But I do appreciate the message. This says, "Hi Nick, I had a look at the Darkling Thrush after last night's show, and agree that last verse is well worth you reading, much better than the Dark Side of the Moon. A Darkling Thrush." I think that was a nice lady who read a little bit of poetry to me. It was Rose. Not too much poetry, one line, about enough. That was sufficient. Let's have Huddersfield. Hello, David.
I do believe it's your own fault, really, Nick.
Why?
That people are... well, firstly, I've got a euphoria for your King of the Year, right? Which I know I'm a bit late, but it's your boss, you and James O'Brien. That's one thing. Mm. So I'm sorry if I'm a bit late with that. Secondly, you got rid of Jonathan, didn't you?
I didn't get rid of him. I just asked him if he knew somebody whose name occurred to me.
And then as if you weren't satisfied with getting rid of Jonathan, which I'm still standing by that you did. And I feel totally sad about that, because he was entertaining.
Yeah.
Then you started criticising people for calling scones scones, which they obviously are.
Oh, my God.
No, it's not good enough, Nick. You know, you should know. You're an international celebrity. You should know that you're a man of mystery. You should know that. What?
It's not scones, it's scones.
Well, how do you explain gone, then?
Gone.
Gone, exactly. It doesn't make sense, does it? I think living in Scotland, because you're multilingual, because you've lived in Scotland and England.
Yes.
I think you've got yourself confused.
Well, that is certainly true, but I'm not sure about this particular issue. Am I confused? It's scone and it's gone.
Well, is my you too late? You and James O'Brien, your boss.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a you anyway, but yeah, it is too late. The book has been done. It is available for purchase on an Amazon near you. Just look up my name, and it's the one with the baby on the front that's covered in mud. Oh, poor baby.
What is your name again?
What's my name?
Somebody had a real trouble, didn't they? Calling you the wrong name and got right under your skin a couple of weeks ago. I thought to myself, it's another scone matter, this.
Right.
He called you Jim or something.
I don't recall. Just don't put the cream on first. It's jam first, then cream. Any idiot knows that.
Well, so how do you debase your tea then? Do you not put the milk in first with that then as well?
Of course you don't put the milk in first.
When do you put it in then? Tuesdays?
David, I think you need professional help. I'm calling. I'm going to dial 999. I think this is the most serious call I've ever had. You're very, very confused.
Keep up the work.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot, David. Keep up the work. I mean, it's not really work, is it? It's just talking, but I'll keep it up. This says there won't be anything to buy because the supply chains will fall apart without the internet. You see what I'm saying about people that message as though we're having a conversation in real time? They hear me say something on the radio and they think, oh, no, that's wrong. And so they text in a message, which, of course, I won't see immediately it comes in. It's not like you're texting your mate and your phone goes bing and then he reads it straight away. And if he takes more than 30 seconds to reply, you get the right hump. It's not like that. It comes in centrally. My glamorous assistant looks at it eventually and then cuts and pastes it and puts it on my screen in due time. At which point, I won't have any idea what you're talking about if you're just responding to the things that I'm saying in real time. This text says, in full, there won't be anything to buy because supply chains will fall apart without the internet. Okay. If you say so.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What number are you calling from?
It's 0345 6060 973. This text says, on the subject of the internet, I think this was in reference to the my rant about what war will look like in the future. And it was, cutting undersea cables and turning our internet off, that kind of asymmetric attack. And it says, actually, the internet is surprisingly robust. It was invented to keep communications going during the Cold War by and for the military. But I'm not sure that last bit's true, but I buy the surprisingly robust part. The internet is, but our access to it might not be. I mean, all they've got to do is cut the cables, and then what? I mean, I suppose there would be other cables. There's more than one cable bringing the internet up this country. But what if you cut a few of them? And then they might be able to reroute information. But those cables don't have an unlimited capacity. And so then I would imagine there would be plans to restrict the internet to those that are perceived to need it the most. Defence, they'll get it first. Well, they might be second after banks. Banks always come first. That's where all the money is. So the City of London is going to get as much internet as we can squirt up it. And as for the rest of us, well, we'll just get what's left. Which means, they might dial down our speed to the point that we can't get cable television. We'll be stuck with the ordinary channels. Oh, no. Wimborne. Hello, Liz.
Hello, Nick. It's a bit like your analogy of the playground. If you think of a country as being like a person, so Britain would be somebody who's like creative and funny, but with a terrible hairdo and overly polite.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And America would be the person who's not quite as bright as they think they are, but everybody's really nice to them, And Germany would have spreadsheets for everything.
Yeah.
But the thing with America is that what's going to happen when they find out that actually facts do actually matter, and everybody's patiently waiting for them to figure this out, What's going to happen when they do figure it out?
Well, I don't think they will, because what's happened in America is that the people who love Trump, they don't just like him as a politician, it's beyond that. They like him as a God figure. They really do believe, And somebody texted in this from Louisiana. Maybe I've accidentally deleted it without reading it out. But it says something of the order of, I'm here in Louisiana, and the people surrounding me have all voted for Trump, and they do actually think that he has been sent by God to run America. And you've seen those pictures of those supposed religious types surrounding Donald Trump and putting their hands on him and praying. And Trump's just standing there. I can only imagine he's thinking, these morons. What are they?
Maybe he believes it. I mean, does he believe it?
Is Donald Trump a religious person? Come on.
No, I mean, that he is, superior in every way.
Yeah, I believe that he believes he's superior in every way. I don't think it goes as far as he was delivered to humankind by God. No.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Not with that hair.
But they've started a new religion, so facts don't actually matter. We're beyond facts now. I mean, try to persuade somebody who is of a religious bent that God doesn't exist. They're not hearing it. No facts matter.
So everybody else is just kind of waiting for them to figure out,
and they
the
won't.
guy they've put in charge of vaccines doesn't believe in vaccines.
In vaccines, yeah.
So what's going to happen then?
Well, they're going to die, and they're going to think, well, that's God's will. He moves in mysterious ways. Yeah,
very, very mysterious ways.
But I don't think that it's not going to help to wait for America or the 49 point whatever it is % of American electorate who voted for Trump to wait for them to wake up. They're not going to do that. They're all in. It's a cult.
And how do cults end?
Usually really badly. Like a vat of poison or gunfire or fire. Something like that, yeah.
Bolt the doors and hope for the best.
Hope for the best, yeah. Fingers crossed. All right. It won't affect you very much in Wimborne, Liz.
Well, we're a very quiet little place in Dorset here, and
Is there any danger you're going to get cut off? Because, the slightest bit of bad weather in this country and where you live, the kind of place where you live, in Dorset, you're stuck indoors for 3 days.
Oh, well, it's really nice down here. It doesn't get that cold because we get the sea breezes warming us.
You've got a microclimate.
Yeah, so it doesn't get that cold. And it's nice because you can go and walk on the beach. So
lovely. Don't go near the water, though.
Warning!
Certainly don't get any of that on your shoes, Liz. All right, thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Swansea, Marielle.
Hi, Nick.
Marielle.
Hi. I'm afraid I'm going to steer you away from your intelligent political discourse, which I do enjoy, to go back to when you were talking about smoking in the films.
Oh, yeah.
Because as a child, I used to see the old black and white. I'm 56. And I used to watch the old black and white films where the women always seemed to have the cigarette holders and looked really cool and sophisticated.
Sophisticated, yeah.
I remember telling my mum that my ambition for when I grew up was to be a teacher and to be a smoker. And I used to practice. Do you remember the old Bic pens that used to be sort of shaped like a cigar, fat in the middle?
Well, I've got one worse than that. Do you remember the sweet cigarettes?
Oh, yes.
They used to have sweets for children that were shaped like a cigarette. They even had the red burning thing on the end.
Yes, at the end, yeah. Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah, I used to buy those, yes. It was my ambition. And I'm glad to tell you that I realised my ambition.
Oh, well done.
Yes, it all worked out so great.
And was that both, or did you get the teaching part? Well,
both, and I've stopped both.
Have you?
Yeah.
Right, well, double congratulations then.
Thank you. One was slightly worse for me than the other, but yes.
Which?
Well, the smoking was worse.
The smoking,
yeah. No.
right.
Yeah.
Which was more difficult to give up?
Well, the smoking from a physical point of view, being addicted in that sense, but the teaching, I was really sad to give up. I had to give up because of medical reasons.
Right.
And, I miss that. I used to love the relationship you build with the children. I'm a primary school teacher, so you get to have them for a year,
You get them at their best before they start carrying knives to school.
Exactly, yes, yeah. And they've got a sense of humour, but it's not horrible yet.
Yes, before life has instilled its negativity into them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wide-eyed and hopeful. Yeah.
Exactly.
We could learn a lot of lessons from kids, couldn't we?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, thanks for that, Marielle.
Thanks, Nick.
Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. Bill in Northern Ireland says, I'm saddened to say that my 93-year-old grandmother passed away this week, but she had a wonderful life, and when her time came, she died peacefully the way we would want to. She just sat down in a chair, closed her eyes, and slipped away. She panicked the hell out of the dentist, though. See, I knew that something was coming. Thanks a lot, Bill. Like halfway through, I thought, oh, no. And then I thought, no, just keep going. It'll be nice. It'll be pleasant. And it was for a moment, and then he ruined it. Oh, well, never mind. David in Teddington says, hi, Nick, I'm sure that we'll still be able to pick up your show on our battery-powered transistor radio, so everything will be fine if the interweb gets obliterated. I'm not sure it will. Because if the internet went down, I don't think we'd be able to do this show, would we? Because how does the show get to the transmitter? I bet my glamorous assistant knows. How does the show get to the transmitter?
I didn't hear what you were saying because I was talking to
Oh, he was talking to somebody else. Oh, much more important than me. Oh, I see. Talking to somebody more important than me, are you? Right, I get it. Let's put me in my place. I've got no idea how it gets to the transmitter, but I'm assuming it is by some technological means that would be internet dependent. So I'm not sure that would actually work. James in Swindon says, hi, Nick, your view of modern warfare reminds me of when France used horse divisions to defend their country against a wall of German panzer tanks. Yeah, I don't know anything about anything, particularly defence. Or any other subject that you'd care to mention. But it seems to me that we're gearing ourselves up to a kind of war that's not going to happen. I mean, does anybody really think that Vlad the Insane is going to launch a missile attack at us? No, he's going to have a couple of his henchmen come in and try to blow up one of our power stations or something like that. It's going to be that sort of thing, isn't it? All of this money, this insane amount of money that we pour to the industrial military complex, those companies with sort of benign names that produce the weapons of mass destruction, companies who you'd think, oh, they sound quite nice, but they really aren't. Those people. You know, companies that are full of men, probably almost all men, in white coats who come in every morning and dream up new and exciting ways to kill a lot of people. But imagine the career trajectory that would have sent you down that path. It's almost unfathomable, isn't it? Like you do good in chemistry or physics or whatever in school and you think, oh, I'm going to be a scientist, great. And then you go to university and you're interested in your subject and you're diligently working away and you get a first or a 2-1 and then a company comes along with a nice name like Green Botics. We're Green Botics. We're the right career path for you. And you think, oh, all right, okay then. And then you spend the rest of your life imagining new ways to construct a landmine. I wonder if these people are happy with their lives. Just curious.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Hello.
And just as a way to... Let me start that again. During the break, I thought, I better look up green botics just to make sure that they don't exist, because it was just the silliest name I could think up at that moment. And I thought, there's no way anybody used to call themselves Green Botics, and I am completely incorrect in every respect. There is a company called Green Botics. Now, as far as I'm aware, they don't do ways of killing people. It's something about solar energy or something like that. Either way, please, pretty please with sugar on top, don't kill me. And I apologise for any inconvenience or disturbance you may have experienced from my previous rant.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
Very apologetic. Tony in Reigate says, I would be an excellent dictator. I would be fiscally prudent, socially liberal, get rid of tax loopholes, ban Crocs. Oh, well, you had me at ban Crocs. I've banned socks with sandals, instant coffee and celery. Pledged to return the country to democracy when I've sorted everything out, and then change my mind when I remember what politicians are like. Celery? What's wrong with celery? Celery is an excellent receptacle for a smush of cheese. Soft cheese on celery. And instant coffee, I think we need instant coffee, because some people just can't be bothered with that whole beans grinding thing, although it is my ritual in the morning. And but Crocs, absolutely, they've got to go. Other than that, Tony, you get my vote. Leytonstone. Hello, Russell.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
Russell, very well, thanks.
Excellent. I'd like to talk to you about road safety and considerate driving and traffic lights.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say considerate driving. Is there any way we can teach people how to be considerate to others, which makes the traffic flow?
No,
properly?
I don't think there is. I mean, if there was a way, then somebody would have tried it by now. But as they haven't, let's assume that there isn't. No, morons. We're surrounded by morons, Russell, and they just get worse when they get behind the wheel of a car.
Correct. But why not just let everybody get on with what they're trying to do, and it all helps everybody?
See, I've always thought, until Elon Musk started leaping around on stage with his gut showing, I always thought that what would be a great step forward for road safety is if we removed the steering wheel from the car and let the car do the driving. Because human beings have been trying for 100 years now, and we still can't do it. I mean, all the evidence is that we aren't really cut out for this driving lark.
Well, I'm afraid I have to pick you up on that, because I'm a professional driver, and I have automatic cruise control on my vehicle, and it is the most annoying thing ever, because if a vehicle slows in front of you, you slow behind it, and it doesn't control your driving. The person in charge of the vehicle needs to be in control of it.
Yes, until the point at which the machine can actually do all the driving, and we're not there yet. I wonder if we'll ever actually be there, what with the difficulties and all the things that come at you when you're driving, but. You know, that kind of technology, AI, is developing at a massive speed. So perhaps in a not too distant future, we will be able to have entire cities that can move around for maximum efficiency, which is at which point everything would just keep going, as opposed to the blasting forward and then slamming on your brakes, and then you create a 5-mile tailback, which is what humans do.
Yeah, well, do you think robots can do that better? Because I certainly don't.
I most certainly do, yes.
My
Only
vehicle,
robots.
My vehicle is controlled by automatic cruise control. And
yeah, you can.
I
know you said that already, Russell, but that is ancient technology, automatic cruise control. I'm talking about the future, baby.
Okay, well, I'll talk about the future. It's traffic lights, right? Do you live in London?
See, with robots, if everything was computer controlled, we wouldn't need traffic lights. Everything would just keep running smoothly at whatever speed is necessary to keep things going.
Well, in that case, why not make traffic lights computer controlled. When
They
you're sitting in
are.
the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning or whatever, sitting at a traffic light,
Yes.
sitting there for 2 minutes, and nothing is going anywhere.
Well, you know
and you're
why?
sitting behind the red
I
light.
agree, but you know why?
Go on, tell me.
It's because you approached the light at the illegal speed.
No, never.
Yes, absolutely. It sees you coming at, you're probably doing 50 in a 20 zone, something like that. And it thinks, I'm going to slow you down by putting a red sign up for no apparent reason whatsoever. But that's the reason why. If you had approached that light at the correct speed, Russell, you being a professional driver and all, then it would have let you through no problem.
Oh, rubbish.
It's not rubbish, it's true.
It is rubbish. I never go over the
I'll tell you what
speed limit.
annoys me. I'll tell you what, here's something that annoys me. You've shown me yours, now I'll show you mine.
Go on then.
What annoys me is people who are waiting to cross the road and there won't be anything on the road and they'll press the button on the pedestrian thing, which then puts the red light up, and they could have crossed the road after you go by because there's nothing on the road. But they don't. They press the button, and then you stop for like 2 minutes, and they totter across the road, and you're still. That's not saving the planet because the amount of fuel I'm using just sitting there with my engine thrumming away, and the exhaust that's coming out the back of it because these people couldn't wait like 1 second for me to go by.
Absolutely right. Another thing. One more thing, and then I'll let you carry on. Next crazy caller. When you're driving along on a motorway, okay,
yes.
Bear in mind, I'm in a lorry. It's 56 miles an hour.
Are you? Oh, right. He's a lorry driver.
Somebody
yes.
Somebody comes along on the slip road trying to get in, and they're in front of you.
Yes.
They're miles in front of you.
Right.
And I can only go 56, and they're doing 56. Why do they just look at me and slow down? Why don't they just put their foot down and go off in front of me?
Well, they're probably, I don't know, they're probably concerned about driving at speed. I don't know, what do I know? When you enter a motorway, you're not used to being at that speed. It's a bit alarming, even if you're used to it.
No, it's not. It's a motorway. If you're going on a motorway, you know the speed limit is 70.
Yeah.
You put your foot down. But the cars...
See, I don't.
Honestly, always. Cars, it happens every day. Cars 20, 30, 40 metres in front of me.
I know.
And they can just pull out.
Yes.
Speed off. Instead, they just slow down, look at me and go, ooh, what are you doing? I'm doing 56 miles an hour. I can't go any faster.
Yeah. Russell, I think if a lot of people are doing that to you, then you are the problem, not them.
I'm the problem. All right, get all your lorry driver listeners to call in and back me up.
No, don't
tell me I'm an idiot.
Here, Russell, by the way, do lorries come with indicators these days?
Oh, yes, many. Yes. And we also have, when you turn left, I say, this vehicle is turning left.
Oh, that.
This vehicle is turning left. We even tell people that we're turning left.
Like that they go. Yeah.
No, that's reversing.
Oh, yeah, that is right. That is reversing.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Russell. Keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. I like tooting along on the motorway at 55 miles an hour. Sometimes I find myself doing like 40 because I'm not paying attention. I'm just, relaxing and listening to some tunes.
Rock and roll!
And I find myself, like, somebody will flash me from behind and I'm like, oh, God, I'm doing 40 on the motorway. No, speed up just a little bit. 55. That is the perfect speed. Because anything above 55, you start to be... it's not relaxing anymore. Do you know what I mean? I mean, for a lorry driver, you can only do 55. So you got an excuse. But people don't half do their nut if you do 55 on I mean, I'm in the slow lane, of course. Please don't call me up and tell me it's not called the slow lane. It is. That is what it is called. I know, because I occupy it all the time. It's just... unless you're travelling the entire length of the country, you're really not going to arrive at your destination very much sooner if you do 70 or 80 or 90 or 100, with all the tension that is involved in doing that, than if you do 55 and just cruise along, relaxing. You'll live longer. That's my recommendation, and I do believe that last caller would agree. He's still on the line. I'm not going to ask him. I'll just assume.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. Graham says, thanks to the internet, the world is going to hell in a handcart. The devil is in the machine. The remaining few of us who refuse to have smartphones are being dragged along with the poor addicts who can't put the damn things down. Yes, I suppose. I mean, the internet is just a reflection of who we are, remember. It's a mirror. It's a mirror that shows behind the mask. It's who we really are, which is kind of frightening. And as for people who are addicted to smartphones, just get your faces out your phones. I mean, if you really need to time the amount that you spend looking at your phone, then you've got a problem, but it might solve the problem if you put a time limit on it. And Jimmy in Fulham says, are you in favour of Rachel from the typing pool visiting the dastardly Chinese? You know what, I've got a bit of a problem with this. Rachel from accounts and Rachel from the typing pool. And the only reason that people are slagging her off like that is because she's a woman. And it's starting to grate on me a bit. You know, this chump...
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He's all over that. Because of course he would be. It's, she's the first female chancellor, and they're saying, that it's all a bit too much for her pretty little head. That's the attitude. Cut it out. Patrick says, there was ashtrays over the men's urinals in my old employer's building. Yeah, that's right. For multitasking. However, all the evidence suggests that men cannot do this. We need your full concentration. Derby. Hello, Simon.
Hi, Nick. Just talking about Musk and Trump. I found it a bit puzzling why they'd be buddying up together. Why Trump would want him detracting from all his his mad spoutings on Twitter and Truth Social.
Yeah.
But it makes a bit more sense now, because I understand. I could see Donald's little mind. I think he's double teaming disinformation with Elon. It means he doesn't have to do so much, does it? You know what I mean?
That
he
is
can have a rest for a day or two.
It's a benefit,
Let Elon go off on one, then he'll... Because if you've noticed, they don't seem to do it at the same time, do they?
Well, Donald Trump has had his little local difficulties, what with having to appear, albeit on video, at his own sentencing.
Yeah, true.
And then he's got, his inauguration to worry about. But no, I get your point. But the reason, of course, that Trump likes Elon is because Elon's got a lot... Hang on.
Bless you.
Oh... Almost. Oh, that was so close. That was going to be a good one as well.
I think it's already borne fruit anyway, because I've missed something that I was keeping my eye on, and I don't know if you spotted it either. Have you seen about through Trump media about what he did just before Christmas?
What?
You know how the share price went up, then it went down, and it was going up and down and up and down, but it was worth about $8 billion at one point, wasn't it?
So they said, yeah. Not really, but yeah.
Well, the thing was, he could have, from about October on, he could have sold those shares, and he could have got loads of, what they were saying, he could have got $2 or $3 billion out of it. Well, he said before the election, I'm not selling those shares. I won't be selling those shares. And he didn't sell them. And I thought, I was sure he might do. On the 20th of December, he took his 53% into a recoverable trust.
Oh, God, what's that?
Well, that's what I thought, so I had a look. A recoverable trust, it's the sort of thing he made to do when he was president anyway. But what he's done is he's put his son... is going to manage it, right? But there's a very unusual quirk to a recoverable trust. If his son starts to sell the shares off, they don't have to tell the stock exchange, and they don't have to tell anybody.
Wow.
So you won't know he's doing it.
Right.
And they slipped that one in, and we've not noticed, have we?
Well, keep your eyes peeled, Simon, because I'm sure it'll be coming thick and fast from this moment on.
We're going to have to keep them very peeled with all the rubbish that pair are going to come out with, Elon and him.
Yep, that's right. And, of course, Trump loves Elon because he's got money, and Elon loves Trump because Trump carries the big stick of the whole of America, which Trump will use as a weapon against absolutely anybody that impedes his progress or makes fun of his, whatever that thing is on top of his head.
I don't wear a toupee.
Thanks, Simon. Sarah in Bristol says, Nick, it's not just sex scenes, but squeaky sound effects for kissing. No one in real life kicks up that racket. Yeah, good point. Yeah, we don't need the sound effects for the kissing. Plus, we don't really need the kissing. I mean, nobody really says this stuff because it does make you sound like a prude. But I was talking to Carol McGiffin about this on our Super Soar Away podcast.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we were talking about sex scene. I can't remember how it came up, but she probably mentioned it first. And it does really, it's just a complete waste of time. And filmmakers must put it in because they think that's what we want to see. But it isn't. Ever. I mean, I can't think of, with the possible exception of 8.5 Weeks, which was just about sex, and by the way, was one of the, most, eye-opening films that I've ever seen. But that was all it was about. So that had relevance. It was the plot, essentially. But all of the other films, I mean, it's like, oh, give us a break. Can't you just go back to the car chases and the explosions? Let's have Heston. Isaac.
Nick.
Isaac.
Right. I think you meant 9.5 Weeks, starring Kim Basinger, yeah?
Oh, 9.5 weeks. Yeah,
right,
missed a whole week there.
That's right. And I've forgotten the guy's name, but...
Mickey Rourke.
That's correct. And, the one scene I liked was under the waterfall. I mean,
steady.
That was too much. That was class. Anyway,
calm down.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Four things.
Yeah.
Right. Lettuce, horses, 1930s, and internet. Right. First of all, lettuce. I wish people would stop talking about Liz Truss and lettuces because lettuces are very healthy and I eat them almost daily.
Are they? I don't think there's anything in a lettuce. It's just green, crispy water. What's in a lettuce?
Well, personally, I find it very healthy. So
it's not the health part that I like a lettuce for. It's juicy crispiness. I mean, would a burger be as good without some lettuce on top? No, it would not.
Probably no, it wouldn't. No. But I do feel anyway.
I like its crisp.
It helps me.
Its crisp moistness.
Okay, right. Okay. The next one is horses. Your caller earlier said I think it was the French during the First World War were attacking the panzers with horses.
That's what it said.
I thought it was the Polish. I thought it was the Polish because I did actually see a program on it years ago, many years ago. But anyway,
right.
Next one is 1930s. Another of your caller mentioned that we're going through a similar sort of thing in the 1930s.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday, I watched a YouTube video on it, and the takeaway that was left with me is that during the Roaring '20s, all the wealth went upwards and upwards and upwards and upwards.
Yeah.
Then we had the 1929 crash, and then the wealth went downwards again.
It didn't.
And I think
did it? It went downwards again.
I think. Well,
what you mean down from the rich to the little people?
Yes. That's right, yeah. So I think we're going through a similar sort of period, basically. That's my point.
Yes, there is definite correlations there because the wealth is being concentrated in the hands of such a small number of people. I mean, everybody else is working their face off and not getting anywhere. And it's not just the working class and it's not just the poor and the unemployed. It's the middle class. And once you start with the middle class feel that they're not getting anywhere, then you've got real trouble because that's almost everybody. That is.
That's right. Yeah. And finally, no internet. Now I'm thinking, right, that's interesting because if there was no internet, that would remind me of my childhood, teenage years, my 20s,
the good old days.
That's right, yeah. To some extent, my 30s, you know, so...
I mean, people might actually get out a book. Can you imagine that?
Absolutely, yeah. And we might go back to free channels, you know.
I think maybe it would be beneficial for the nation if we just cut the internet off once a week. Like, maybe Wednesday afternoon, something like that. And people had to... And all TV got shut down... And I think one of the Scandi countries tried this during the day. Maybe they ditched it. But I think for the benefit of the nation, if we just took a half a day on Wednesday and just cut all electronic devices off, then wouldn't that be a good thing to try? Let's try it.
Wow, what? Like half day closing on a Wednesday, like the old days?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, no.
No? All right. Okay. I tried. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Isaac. 0345 6060 973. Plymouth. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Nick.
Julie.
Oh, thank you for doing the old Rachel from typing or... Because it's not right to be speaking like that about... I hate the whole Karen thing as well. It's just... I expect better from your listeners. So, yeah, thank you, Nick.
Okay.
But also, my friend or my fellow Plymouthian, Mark, and his island, I'm sort of like, I'm going for this. But you're being a bit picky.
Well, no, I'm perfectly okay about the Caribbean island. That sounds good to me. 5 acres, that sounds about right. With a nice big house on the middle. It's just that I would want you to chip in to buy it, Julie.
Yes, of course. I would never not do that.
Right. It's just that I don't want you to actually be there.
Oh, Christ. See, that's... Oh, Nick, come on. Can I visit at least for holidays?
No, I'm afraid not.
Can I come pick the fruit or something? Or just put a little stick
well,
of the
yeah, of course.
potatoes?
If that is necessary, then, of course you can come in for a working holiday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much.
Just don't overstay your welcome, that's all.
Well, of course not. I mean, obviously, it's a seasonal job. I'll be there and I'll be gone. To be fair, I'm not really a Jamaica person. I'm not like a heat person. I'd rather us all go down to Greenland, look after those polar bears, and protect it from Trump. That's what I'd rather.
Okay,
but I'm not sure whether the locals want us either.
I will enjoy receiving a postcard from Greenland, Julie, in my Caribbean hideaway. How does that sound? 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 Hideaway. How does that sound?